President Trump is directing federal immigration agencies to ramp up deportations in large cities, including Chicago. In a lengthy social media post tonight, Trump says ICE officers are ordered to, quote, do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history.
Sanctuary cities are now our priority.
Trump is doubling down on crackdowns in sanctuary cities in blue states.
I want them to focus on the cities because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are.
The largest mass deportation effort in American history has just been ordered by President Donald Trump. So we came here to Chicago to see what that looks like for people living here and why Mayor Brandon Johnson is putting so much on the line to protect these immigrant communities.
The Trump administration has sown seeds of division and fear. We're doing everything that we can to keep families together. Our sister agencies and our police department and our city departments will not engage in any of those federal operations at all.
I have a mayor who wants to protect the good and the bad equally, and I'm not interested in protecting the bad.
Deportations have been part of this country for decades. This is not something new, and it's not going to stop with this administration or with the ones coming up.
Why are we in Chicago, bro?
So Chicago is what's called a sanctuary city, or their official term is a welcoming city, and they supposedly have laws and policies that are meant to protect illegal or undocumented migrants. And so we came here to explore those policies through talking everyone from lawyers to activists, community advocates, etc. And we discovered something a little bit surprising, and that is where we thought we would discover layers of support for undocumented migrants on how to help them navigate systems and how to help them legally, and how the city would be at every nook and cranny of the issue, considering that the Mayor Johnson is putting so much on the line, standing up to the man, Donald Trump himself. We discovered that it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, that there's a lot of words and a lot less actions, and who they're saying they're protecting is putting a whole variety of other people at risk.
What we're not in favor of is, seeing grandmothers and grandfathers and mothers and fathers ripped away from children. Little girls being thrown into unmarked vans and taken off to God knows where.
And parents were picked up. Children were left without their parents. I think it was like five children who were left without their parents.
The extent of the protections enjoyed by certain undocumented people in Illinois, as an example, stems not necessarily certain additional legal rights that they may have, but it comes by way of the lack of cooperation of law enforcement with ICE agents.
If I'm arrested as a non-citizen, the federal government will never know that I'm in custody. They will never do a background check. They will never see if I'm on the watch list for undocumented or non-citizens. And if I'm released, then the federal government's going to go back to my last known address looking for me. Now, maybe I'm not home that day. Maybe I'm in a two-flat with other non-citizens, but whomever opens the door is the one that they're going to take.
I would say there is a sense of security here in Chicago due to the Trust Act that the state of Illinois has as well, and due to the welcoming city ordinance from the city of Chicago. Still, there is not, you will not feel relieved even though you know that it's a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state, because you're seeing it on the news. You're hearing from your own community that they can come for you just because of the way you look, because it doesn't discriminate either.
By playing this catch and release and taunting the federal government to go find them in the neighborhoods themselves, you've created a population that has been taken as collateral captures. Nearly 50% of those that have been taken from the city of Chicago by ICE since Trump took over are collateral captures. Not the folks that they were looking for, but the folks that just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So how do these so-called collateral pickups happen?
A lot of times it happens when we're out doing enforcement activities, right? That we're coming across somebody who is our target. He might be with somebody or she might be with somebody that we suspect might be here illegally. And, for our immigration officers, our deportation officers have kind of a broad range of authorities that we get from the Immigration and Nationality Act. And one of those is that, we can interrogate people who we expect or we suspect are here illegally. So if we have somebody that we're arresting a target and they're with somebody that we might suspect is here illegally, we can do that investigation. And if we find through the investigation that they are here illegally, we can take an enforcement action on them as well. And I think that's one of the, I don't want to say it's an unintended consequence, but essentially when we're arresting people in the field, we're going to come across other people that are illegal, and so we're going to take action on them. Well, different from if we're able to arrest somebody from a jail, right?
If the sanctuary city laws were revoked, right? Chicago is just a regular city, would these collateral pickups, you see them reducing?
Absolutely, because if I'm an undocumented or an asylum seeker, if I'm a non-citizen committing some dangerous crimes and I'm on their list, then I would never be released back to my neighborhood and force Tom Homan and company to come look for me. You could simply just transfer me over to their custody.
And that I would characterize as shocking. I will also characterize as some clients going to their hearings in immigration court and being detained by ICE as shocking, because they are trying to do the right thing. They are going to their hearing. They are doing exactly what the government asked them to do. And yet, as soon as they're done, as they walk out, there's an ICE agent waiting for them. And so you do as they tell you to do, and you lose. And you don't do as they tell you to do, you lose. So it's a lose-lose proposition.
Government attorneys and this sort of new practice of dismissing cases so that, and then contacting ICE beforehand and letting them know to please wait outside the courtroom so that you can pick an individual up, it's a clear violation of rights.
I think more of our resources will be pushed towards making the arrest at the jail. And again, as with any government agency, we're limited in the resources that we have, so we have to be kind of smart in how we want to utilize those resources. But I mean, me being the field office director here, if we had more cooperation and we could arrest people from the jail, that would be an efficiency that we'd see. We'd still have the at-large arrest happening, and we still wouldn't be able to just turn a blind eye to somebody here illegally, if they're encountered. But I do see that more resources would be pushed towards working with county jails and even municipal lockups. I think the biggest misconception is that we're somehow maybe not real law enforcement, and somehow our officers don't have the same authorities as others do, right? Our people are federal law enforcement officers. We're charged with enforcing the laws of the Immigration and Nationality Act, but we can also enforce federal criminal laws as well.
Then they are very afraid and sad. They don't want to be to courts to continue their cases. They choose to be hidden.
But they also want to become citizens.
One day you're here legally, and now the next day your status is completely changed.
They are afraid.
What are they afraid of? Is it of ICE? Is it...
Especially, yeah.
Especially ICE?
Both traditional and non-traditional media are paying a lot more attention because of this narrative that is being built around immigrant groups.
There was a terrorist, a gunman that was intent on killing Jews.
Sidi Mohammed Abdullahi, the suspect accused of shooting an Orthodox Jewish man in West Rogers Park. ICE confirms Abdullahi is a Mauritanian national and was first found by U.S. Border Patrol in March of 2023 near San Isidro, California.
He saw somebody that looked like an obvious Orthodox Jew. We're very identifiable. We're visibly Jewish. And he went over to him and he shot him. And then the gunman came back, maybe to finish off the job. We know that a dangerous attack can come from anywhere. It could come from someone who's a naturalized citizen, becomes radicalized right here, or it can come from somewhere else. Certainly if it was something that was preventable because somebody entered the country illegally, we've built up coalitions with other groups, other ethnic groups, other religious groups, kind of creating a coalition, and other communities that may be targeted for whatever reason have gathered together to advocate for more resources for security and safety.
Unfortunately, our target list is very big, right? I mean, there are a lot of cases out there that we know people are here illegally. We know they've committed crimes. So, I mean, we're unfortunately, we don't have a shortage of targets to go after. We have, over 10 teams going out daily with multiple targets.
He was an insurance broker, my brother Denny. He was 66 years old. June 6, 2011, he was walking across the street to call on a client who was also a friend of his, a Mexican restaurant client.
11 years after a controversial release from jail, a suspected drunk driver is back in the custody of Chicago police.
William Denny McCann was killed by a suspected drunk driver in Logan Square in June of 2011.
An illegal alien with a prior conviction was drunk way beyond the legal limit and ran him over and dragged him about a block and a half, and he died a violent death. The Cook County Board passed a law which made Cook County a sanctuary law, which enabled my brother's killer, one Saul Chavez, to be released on bond. Then he was released and he fled to Mexico. 5 months before he killed my brother. He should have been deported. But Chicago had already had an unofficial sanctuary policy. My anger, oddly enough, is more towards the political system than the young man who killed my brother. I disagree with Trump in this respect. I want all the criminals out of the country. I taught dreamers. Dreamers should be given a fair shot.
There have been cases that ICE has gone after what they call a danger to a particular city or because of a specific crime. There have been also cases of day-to-day immigrants that have been picked by ICE due to their immigration status more than due to a criminal background, which is two separate items. You are not a criminal by being on this country. And that's what we're trying to also have an open conversation with the community, because we are aware that that's not true.
Can you explain to the technical matter of the law? What law are these people breaking that you are having to enforce?
Sure, and it is, right? It's different because we operate in the administrative law of the Immigration and Nationality Act and criminal law, right? That's what's codified into law, and there's different tools, but essentially each of the laws that we're enforcing on the administrative side do have a corresponding criminal charge on them. But I mean, since we're usually not in the criminal enforcement realm, we're in the administrative enforcement realm. I think that's where the confusion is. But just because it's an administrative arrest or an administrative warrant doesn't mean it holds any less burden of proof on our officers, right? My officers need probable cause to arrest somebody for this, probable cause that they're here illegally. So that same standard applies, just like if we were arresting somebody on a criminal charge. So I mean, it's complicated. Immigration law is very complicated, and it's hard to put that out there because I think it's probably the most complicated law. Some people say tax law is more complicated, but I think it's immigration law because it's very complicated. But I mean, it's not something where our officers are going out and they're just deciding, hey, I'm going to arrest somebody, this morning, and they're going to be on a plane, this afternoon.
We need more funds, and funds are not enough what we get, even though in public has been said that we got for millions. That's not even true. We wish.
$600 million was allocated to deal with migrant asylum seekers, even though most communities don't get to see that kind of investment.
But the city that I know, we don't get much help.
Do you have a pulse on how the community feels about the mayor?
That's a good question. How we feel about the mayor, because I'm part of the community, that's why I use the word we. We don't hear much of him. Maybe we should go more to his meetings, participate more in what the city is doing. But we are so busy doing our work here that we barely have time to go to the other person's meetings.
We have a tyrant in the White House who has a complete disregard for our Constitution and the dismissing of our democracy.
The mayor of Chicago is trying to use Trump as a path for re-election, knowing that his numbers are in the tank.
What we have seen in Los Angeles is really not about immigration. This is about power.
He's willing to play this game of chicken with people's lives here in the city of Chicago for his own political purposes, for his own political survival, to be perfectly frank. And that does no one any good.
We are a welcoming city. The Illinois Trust Act, it's the law of the land. Our local law enforcement will not coordinate or engage or behave as federal agents.
I'm focused on protecting the 98% that go about their day every single day, just waiting for their chance to legitimize their residency here, trying to build families here. That's who I'm focused on.
Fear is what allows any group to oppress another. It could be fear spread through media, spread through news, spread through public policy, spread through economic stranglement.
We're not just thrown in, from Washington, D.C. every morning and then, fly back out somewhere, right? Our officers are, their kids go to the same schools as anybody else who lives in the community.
Where do you think that gap in knowledge comes from?
I think it's probably because immigration is kind of a polarizing topic, right? I mean, there's some that think that, want it one way and some that, want it a different way. But essentially what my officers do every day is just enforce the laws that Congress has passed, before, right? What we're doing is we're not writing any new laws, right? Like we're out enforcing the laws that are on the books.
A 4-year-old with a health condition being deported with her parents when they came here for her to get help. I don't think that's humane. I don't think that's what our country should be doing.
This is too much. The note we received just yesterday, they referenced the constant fear, always looking over your shoulder, appearing at immigration court hearings only to be greeted by ICE officers outside ready to detain them, and having 4 children. The father said, I am not about to subject my children to that kind of treatment. He said, this is not the America that we envisioned. He said, this is a sad day, but we have decided to leave.